So today topic will be on workflows. So the agenda is like we are going to look at what are workflows and why we need workflows, and then what are the different items we have in within workflow, what we can do actually with workflows, and how it will helpful. And then we'll also see what is the difference between workflows and triggers. So how it is different uh, than these triggers, or we'll see what is asynchronous actions and synchronous uh, actions. So, and then finally we'll create one workflow, and then we can try to send a notification to someone. So workflows are nothing but it will be used to automate some business processes. So same way of triggers. So in triggers, we'll use we can do same thing, right? We can where there also we can write some groovy logic, and then we can automate the business process. So here also we can do the same, but in addition to that, we can send a notification, and we can trigger some outbound integration, and uh, we can create some activity just by selecting what is the subject, what is the task type, something like that, and we can schedule actually. So this is one of the like good feature in workflow. So that is schedule. So in trigger, if you remember, so whenever we click on save, so at that time only the script will run and it will execute in the code, and the changes we can see immediately in the UI. Whereas in workflows we can so this is uh, whatever whatever we'll do using triggers and field triggers, field validations, all these are synchronous actions, synchronous changes. So when it comes to workflow, it is asynchronous. It means it will not run immediately. It means it will, even if we choose immediately, it will take a few seconds, few milliseconds or few seconds, and it will run in the background. So once we save the record, whatever workflow like that we have written, so that will trigger in the backend. So it will take few seconds, and then it will run in the backend itself. So that's why we can call workflows are asynchronous changes. So it will do asynchronously the actions that we defined in the workflow. And also what we can do using workflow is we can schedule a particular action in some time. So if we want to send a notification after like uh, after opportunities created, uh, like when opportunity is created, if it is created today, after 7 days, if we want to trigger a notification, we can schedule that email notification after 7 days, or something like after 7 days, if you want to remind something to do, then also we can send notification. So something like that we can schedule action. So it can be email or something. We have around 6 actions. We'll see later. So on overview, so this is the diagram we have for workflow. So in application composer, we'll configure this workflows, object workflows. So if we go to application composer, uh, where we have global functions, right? We have yesterday we seen global function. So in that left corner, we can see global functions and web services, custom subject areas. So in that place, we can see one action called object workflows. So there we'll go to there, and then we'll select for which object we need to create workflow, and then which event, whether it's a creating a record or on updating a record. So only these two we have. We don't have a delete. Like in trigger, we saw multiple events, right? So like that, we don't have multiple events here, but we have only create and update. And we'll define condition here when to trigger this workflow. So we can give some groovy expression like we gave in if else condition we can give. So there we can specify at what condition the workflow should trigger, and then we'll specify the event action. So that is we can using this workflow, we can update a field in that particular record. Suppose if we are writing a workflow in opportunity object, we can update any one of the field in opportunity. So, and that too we can schedule all these actions we can schedule. So email notification, we can send a notification to some opportunity owner or something. And task creation, so this is activity creation. So we can create some activities on particular after some condition is met. So outbound message, so this is for calling external integration. So we can just specify that URL or some URL, and then outbound message will be called. Business process flow, this is for BPM of some approval flows. So to call those approval flows, we can use this business flow action. And finally, groovy actions. So groovy action is, so here we can do, here we can call object functions. So yesterday we have seen object functions, right? So whatever object function we have written in this particular object. So whatever object we'll select here, so that particular object has any object functions, so that we can, those object functions we can call here. And at runtime, whenever this workflow is triggered, that particular object function will be executed, and if there is anything in that object function, that will run it, and that business logic will be applied. And yeah, same way, like all of the actions will have schedule. Some use cases of workflow, like we can see here, to close opportunity after 7 days of close date. So suppose there is a default, like when we create opportunity, we can see some close date there, close date or due date. So once that is reached, and then after that close date of 7 days, so after 7 days of close date, so we can close this opportunity automatically. Means we can update, we can write a workflow, and we'll schedule that to trigger after 7 days of close date. And then in actions we can specify opportunity status can be should be closed, so that opportunity will be closed automatically. And when service request is assigned to an agent, so we can notify that this particular SR or SR is assigned to you. So so that kind of a notification we can send. And same way, like if we are using service request and we are sending a notification, we can send notification. That third one is also to send notification on when SR is critical. So in lead opportunity contact, so we have we can send so many things, like we can use for a lead to send notification to email lead owner or account owner or contact owner, something like this. So we can use anyway. And the difference between object workflows and triggers. So as I said earlier, triggers are synchronous and object workflows are asynchronous. So why? Because triggers will run instantly. So when we click save or whatever on the runtime itself, but when it comes to object workflows, this will be at this will run asynchronously. Uh, we can choose a delay, like we can schedule, or even if we choose immediate to trigger, it will take a few seconds. Just we just need to close that particular record, and then if we open again, so the changes will be changes we can see. So it means it will run in the background, and we'll see this demo. Okay, how to create a workflow. So for that, we should go to application composer. So under common setup, we can see this object workflows. If we click on this, or in this area also, we can see here object workflows. So we can go from here also. So as soon as I open here, like I can see the screen. So if we want to search for existing workflows, we can select our object, and then we can click this save search, and then we can see all the workflows written for that object. So if I want to create a new workflow, I can use this plus button, or if we go to action, we can see create button. Okay, so now again we need to select object. So for each object, we need to create a workflow. So now we'll see for this event. So event is an object, and it's a custom object. So I'm creating there. We can even create for standard objects. So what we can do is, like if we see here, the required field is only name, and this action is required. So I will say notification. So we'll create two notification. One is on create. So send notification on create. So on create, the condition is not required. But if we choose when record is updated, so condition is required. So it will say condition we should give. So you must define at least one action. That means you need to select one action here. Also, it will not allow without this condition. So, and condition example should be like this. So we should use at least one is attribute changed function here, because so if we don't specify is attribute changed in workflow condition, that means whenever a record is updating in this active, whenever any record in event object is updating, every time workflow will try to trigger. But if we use something like this, is attribute change its status, it means this workflow will trigger only when updating status to something. So to avoid like or to trigger only the particular time, so we can use is attribute change. So And if you see here, the format should be like this. Or we can even give like how we gave for required and updatable expressions, right? If else. So in that way also we can give. But this is one way, or we can give like here, just flower brackets, and we can put else also. So this is written false. So it means if this condition is satisfied, and when status is changing, and uh, then the workflow should trigger. Return true means workflow should trigger. Return false means workflow shouldn't trigger. So we'll see here. Is there any field? Okay, yesterday we saw something. Event type, right? Event type, and then it is uh, orientation. So we can use same. I'm using event type. So even if we enter something wrong name, right, it will validate and it will throw error. So that's why we am. So orientation is a value, lookup code value in one of the lookup code value in event type field. I'm validating it. Okay. So what I'm saying, I'm saying if event type is changed to orientation, then that time trigger this workflow. So that is what I'm stating it here. Okay. So this is update, right? So I'll change again here. This is, I selected update event, and what I should do is I should create an email template. Okay, for creating email template, that we can create in mainline only. Means without sandbox only we should create. So that is because if you see here, uh, if you see some mainline tasks are available, right? So under that we have email templates. So that's why we can create email templates in sandbox without sandbox only. First, I'll see, is there any template? There are no template. Okay. So in update, we'll use something, something like, we'll just update a field, okay, in update, but in create, we'll try to send a notification. Update, same thing. Yesterday we used event location, right? So same thing we can. So in this one, we can even insert some other fields. So these are all the list of fields available uh, in this object, event object. And if I want to say something like the country value, okay, I'm making it dynamic. So what will happen whenever we this workflow is triggering, that time it will just insert this value for that particular record. It will insert country, and then I'm saying, so since I don't have a city here, so for now I'll make it Bangalore, and then I can even insert. So last update date. or else it's okay. The um, I'll insert currency code. Okay. So whenever this workflow is triggered, it will update this event location to country, and then whatever country we entered in that record, space Bangalore, space currency code. And yeah, so here itself we can observe that here I selected only one field, and like this I can add more fields. If I want to add one more field, I can just use this update more fields. So one more box it will come for another field. So if I want to schedule it to after some time, so what I can use is this one. So if I can send after minimum after 1 hour. Okay. So so for that I can select hour, and then I can put one here. So this is the minimum time. Like after 1 hour of workflow triggered, this field will be updated if I select like this. But since in this demo I am not going to select after 1 hour, because the change will see after 1 hour only. So I'll select uh, whatever 0 hours after workflow is triggered. So it means almost immediately. Okay, I'm saving this workflow. So once we create workflow and if we publish this sandbox, we can't delete again. But if we are in the sandbox, and then that in that sandbox only if we create, so then we can delete. But if we publish, we can't delete. It is same like deleting a field or creating a field. So fields also we can create, and we can delete only in the sandbox. So now we'll check this update scenario, update workflow, and then we'll go through we'll go to the create workflow. Now what I'll do, so my workflow will trigger if I change event type to orientation, right? So if I do same thing in trigger, right, as soon as I click this save, the change we can see immediately. But you can notice in this workflow uh, that it is, so this whatever value we have in workflow, we have given the country, and then this Bangalore, and then currency, right? But whatever value here it is coming, it is from trigger. So now we can see if I cancel this record and if I open after a few seconds, the event location will be with country, and then Bangalore, and then currency code. So in that format, it should be there. Okay, it's not yet updated. So we can see that delay also, because it runs at the back end, right? So it might take a few seconds. Okay, it shouldn't take this much time. So what we'll do, we'll check again the workflow. Is there anything wrong? So we'll select some object. So if you notice, if we until unless we select this required attributes, actions will not be enabled. So all are blank, like grayed out. So once we select this required fields, then only we can create some actions. So email notification, right? So here, if we click plus, we can create email notification. You can give name and then we can select email template. For now, I'm not, I don't have any email template, so I'm not selecting. But if we have email template, we can select in to address or CC address. We can see multiple options like last updated by, created by, the manager of created by, or manager of last updated by, then direct reports, subordinates. Okay. So these are options we have. Subordinate means for all the users under me. So to all of them, the notification will go. And we can also send by roles. So if we have something like sales representative or sales manager, so to all of the users who is having this sales manager role, the notification will go. And even we can select some specific users. So if we have some like users will create, right? So if you want to select specific user, we can give name here and name or email, and then we can search here. So those users we can select. And also we have specific email address. I mean, explicitly we can give uh, like this, our own emails we can give. If we have more than one email, we can just use comma, and then we can give other emails like this. And fields on records, this is like if we have any field that contains email addresses, suppose primary email. So this has some emails, right? So I can select this one. So whatever email in this field, so to that the notification will. This is how we can select email notification. Uh, this is how we will configure an email notification. So the only one thing we missed is email template that will create after this. After this, then we have task creation. So task creation is to create activity. So here we'll give what is subject, what is description, what is due date, start date, and the type of a task. See, so whatever we have options to create activity, so all will be available here. So and if you see, even we can select that it is related to particular object or not. So currently we have written this object in account, right? So it is showing related to account. So automatically that relation will be assigned. Okay, this is how we can create activity. And then outbound integration, this is just we need to specify some external endpoint URL so that it will just trigger that. And then business flow, this is to select some business process flow created in some other area, that is BPM. So here we can select that. And finally, Groovy script. What here we can do is, okay, so here we can call some object function. Suppose we have in account, we have a data fox update. So this is an object function defined in account object. So that script is this one. Okay. So once we run that this workflow, this script will be called and it will run whatever logic here we have, right? Set attributes or all that. So all that will happen after this workflow running. Okay. And now I'm exiting sandbox and I'm going to see the templates, email templates, how we can create email templates. So to create event templates, again, we need to go to application composer, same. I'm going to application composer and we need to select to which object we need to give or we need to create this particular email template. Okay, now we see all the common setup is enabled, but all the sandbox tasks are disabled. So here I can see the email templates from here or from here. So again, we'll select the account because we need to create a template in account. So we can duplicate it for existing template or we can create from scratch. So I'm just going to create from scratch. Okay. So we should select the object, then we should give a template name. And if I want to attach some specific attachment, I can attach that here. Okay. So then we can create a subject using the fields like suppose this is a notification, consider it as a notification. Uh, um, so we can write notification for account notification for account. So for account name, if you want to insert, what we can do, we can just take that field from here account name or organization name. Okay, name. So we can insert that. Like this. We can insert this fields so that whenever we call this email template in workflow, it will take the account name for that particular record. So if we are updating one record, so whatever record we are updating, so that record name, it will be inserted here dynamically. So similarly, we can create a body. So this is a HTML area where we can write HTML code and CSS styling. So and even we can use some plain text, plain template also. So here also we can insert fields here. Suppose I'm sending this to owner, right? So what I can do, okay, suppose if I'm sending my notification to primary contact, so I'm saying hi, that primary contact person name. Okay, and then I'll say this is notification regarding something. Okay, so all that content I'll write here, and then I'll send notification. So whatever we have entered, so if we want to see the HTML code for this, so if we select this source code editing mode, we can see. So in the backend, it will store like this. Whatever we have entered here, so it will store in the backend like this. So this is the view of like source code. So where we can see tags, all that HTML tags and all that we can see. So even for this, we can use CSS styling. So that is also possible. So how we can design a web page like that, we can design email template, and in that we can put some dynamic variables from the object fields. And finally, we can save this, and later we can delete also. It's not like okay, it's not like a workflow. Once we define, we can't delete, so we can delete it. If it is not associated to any other workflow, we can delete that time. Yeah, that's all for today.